Investors are heading for the Swissy as debt problems in the Eurozone and political tensions in the Middle East stoke demand. I asked Gilbert Colli from UBS his expert view on the safe haven currency.
It is important to understand that in Switzerland, the Swiss government is not responsible for monetary policy or the currency policy. This is the responsibility of the Swiss National Bank. Only the Swiss National Bank can act on monetary policy and currency. The government took some measure to help some part of the economy. On the Swiss National Bank, they did intervene quite heavily in the last couple of years. Now they have stopped, but they are still working on monetary policy to leave plenty of liquidity in the market to make sure that interest rates remain low, to avoid the Swiss franc to strengthen too much.
Okay. And what exactly is the situation with the Swiss franc? Where does it lie at the moment, and where will it go in the next month or so?
We had a big run-up on the Swiss franc, either against the US dollar or against the euro. We can expect now the Swiss franc to remain volatile, but it will fluctuate around the current level. So it will sometimes go up when the market is going to have a risk aversion, or weaken a bit when the market will have appetite for risks. But overall, we expect some fluctuation around the current level.
And I just want to mention inflation, because inflation is causing problems throughout Europe at the moment because of commodity prices. What effect is this having on the Swiss franc, and do you think that it will be necessary to intervene with interest rates?
The inflation is much less of a problem in Switzerland because of the strength of the Swiss franc. We were even talking about risk of deflation not long time ago. So now really inflation is at very low level. We had the data for January that came much lower than they expected. So really inflation is not a problem for the moment, especially because of the strength of the Swiss franc.
So the Swiss franc is overbought and the US dollar is in trouble. How do you see the relationship changing in the next month or so?
Regarding the US dollar, the focus on the Federal Reserve Bank is on unemployment. I think the unemployment is way too high, and that's their first priority. So they make sure that there is enough liquidity in the market, that the economy is growing, and inflation is not a big problem for them. It will come only much later. Regarding the Swiss franc benefited a lot from the problems in Europe, on the Eurozone. And also sometimes due to geopolitical issues such as Egypt, Tunisia. Now this is in the market, it's priced in. As against the euro, now we can expect also the dollar to stabilize versus the Swiss franc and trade within this range, and it has probably found some good support at the current level.
So as far as the Swiss franc is concerned, in relation to the troubles in Europe, how does that affect the Swiss franc at all? I mean, you've mentioned it briefly there, but because it is such a safe haven currency, you've got that relationship with Hungary, for example. What do you see the problems coming from that will be?
So lots of these problems are already priced in. Of course, this theme will come again, and when it comes, it will bring some temporary pressure on the euro versus the Swiss franc. But this will be only temporary. So it's only on short-term effect. And as I said earlier, we rather think the euro will stabilize versus the Swiss franc around the current level.
Okay. And what about as far as people living in Switzerland is concerned, and say exports, for example? Is there any pressure from that side of things to reduce the strength of the currency?
Yes, of course. But the Swiss exporters are used to live with a strong Swiss franc. It's not the first time this has happened. This is a very flexible economy. It is the Swiss export industry is suffering. It will have an impact on the economy. So far, we have not seen it. But it will have an impact at one point. It's just not sure. It's not sure exactly how much it will be.
Why do you think so many people are buying the Swiss franc?
There is this safe haven situation when they they just want to avoid the dollar or the euro or other currencies and move to the Swiss francs. And the fact also that interest rates have been very low in most of the G7 countries, so the interest rate differential were very low to historical level. So it was the risk-reward ratio to hold any dollars or euros, what not really was having this position. That's why they went into the Swiss francs.
For more interviews and coverage of the Geneva Forex event, stay tuned to Dukas Copy TV.